If you're a video editor, or a 3D artist, or an architect, or an engineer who runs complex computations, and you're looking for one laptop that can do it all, this right here is the ProArt StudioBook Pro from ASUS, and it's one heck of a machine. It's powered by an Intel Core i9 CPU, it's got 32 gigs of RAM, NVIDIA RTX A3000, and a 2TB SSD. There's a lot this machine can handle. It's a 16-incher with a very professional aesthetic and a really bright and color-accurate 4K OLED display. It's got ample thermal ventilation and more than sufficient connectivity options. It looks like a perfect all-in-one package. Or is it? Let's find out. From a design point of view, it definitely looks like a laptop that a professional would own. The base is solid and stable. The display flexes itself quite a lot to give you more flexibility. Now, despite a full-sized keyboard, the chassis has a solid build with very minimal flex. This does not feel cheap at all. Now, inside you get 6 heat pipes that share the CPU and GPU thermals. You've got a dual 102 blade fan that are super thin and offer 16% more airflow versus the 71 blade fans. And by the way, you can upgrade the RAM to up to 128 gigs and even increase the internal storage to 4 terabytes. Now, if you look at it, for a 16-inch laptop with all that power and cooling system built in, this is definitely not something that looks as bulky and heavy as other powerful 16-inch laptops generally are. Now let me talk about the display design. And the first thing that I think I would have really liked is having slimmer bezels overall and just a better screen to body ratio. And the way to do that would have been if ASUS could have removed this part and that way just have the same screen size but in a more compact body. I think it would have looked even better than it does right now. Secondly, there's a bit of a flex in the lid. It's not a deal breaker, but just if in case you wanted to know about that. Now, there is an inbuilt privacy cam shutter on the HD camera, and that's definitely good, and a 4-array omnidirectional microphone setup for clear audio or video conferencing. Of course, I cannot not speak about the ASUS Dial. Now, this was introduced last year and still very nifty. You can use this to control volume and brightness if you're not in any specific app, but let's say you are in Premiere Pro. You can use it to zoom in onto your timelines, scrub through your video, and let's say increase audio track height. If you go into ProArt Hub, you'll be able to customize these functions, for the dial and activate that on a per app basis. Now, honestly, I don't see myself using the dial a lot, but it can be super useful if you want to get something done very quickly and you don't have an external mouse lying around, and that can happen quite often. So yeah, now we will talk about the speakers a little later, but let's get to the connectivity and the I/O ports. In terms of ports, this is a very well-fed laptop. You get a Thunderbolt 4 port, 1 Type-C, 2 USB 3, 1 HDMI 2.1, you get the headphone jack, and you also get a really fast SD card reader. It's great for creators to quickly transfer photos or videos from the camera card. And I love this, you get the Ethernet port, so you can enjoy super fast internet or networking speeds. So yeah, in terms of connectivity, I think this is more than sufficient. I can't even think of something that I would need any further. Now, one of the best things about this laptop is that OLED 4K display. It's got a peak brightness of 550 nits, which is super, no issues even if you're sitting outdoors at a cafe enjoying coffee. The only minor issue is to do with reflections outdoors. It's manageable, but it's there. The screen looks really dope, the pop of colors, deep blacks, and overall very punchy. It is a display that's meant for professionals, and the ProArt Hub allows you to keep the display calibrated at all times. The only thing that I wish ASUS could have done was, instead of a 4K 60Hz, they could have made this a 2K 90Hz or a 120Hz. I think that smoother display just offers an overall better experience as compared to that 60Hz now. Now, for those of you who are worried about, the OLED burn-in, sure, it's a thing, but only if you plan to have something very static on your screen at all times. But for me, I keep doing different things, and frankly, with the dark mode and auto display dimming and Samsung's burn-in refine technology, this should last you good 3 to 4 years. And if you want to know more about the ASUS OLED technology, I've done a video that explains quite a bit about it. I'll leave a card in the top right corner, check it out. Now let's talk about what matters the most, performance. And let me start by saying it's a very capable machine, and it's geared for professional workflows, be it video editing or 3D rendering or even performing complex scientific computations. One of the coolest things is that this has NVIDIA's RTX A3000 as its dedicated GPU with 12 gigs of VRAM. Now this is a workstation level GPU better suited not just for creative workflows but other enterprise grade work not limited to architecture, engineering, product design and media and entertainment. So I'm a YouTuber and I generally work with 4K footage with a lot of video effects and third-party transitions, and that can be demanding. I mean, I was quite happy to see that I could apply an effect and view the effect real time, even without pre-rendering at times. Now, I did place 3 to 4 transitions together, and sometimes it could render and sometimes it couldn't. Now, the laptop did not get too hot or anything, but sure, you could hear the fans ventilating the heat, which is a good thing. But yeah, you will hear the fans roaring when put under performance stress. By the way, in the Pro Art Hub, you could go in and quickly monitor your laptop's performance and temperature. You could also switch to full speed mode, which will maximize the fan speed and consequently maximize performance. And here's what the noise of the fans sound like. So whether you're using Adobe products like Premiere Pro, After Effects, or Photoshop, or other professional apps like Autodesk or 3D Max or SolidWorks, this laptop is a pretty good match. And of course, it's entirely possible that you may require 64 gigs or 128 gigs of RAM and not 32. So that's upgradable, which is good. But then it's possible that just the RTX A3000 is not enough for you. You may need the RTX A5000 or the 7000. So definitely check out the benchmark scores in that case, and so that you're fully aware whether this laptop can match your needs. All right, now let's talk about the keyboard, and let's talk about the good things first. It's a full-size keyboard with physical number pad. It's backlit with classy white lights and has 3 levels of intensity. It feels great to type on, the travel distance is healthy and the tap is very satisfactory. And this is how it sounds. Very pleasing, soft and not loud. I actually really enjoy typing on this. The only improvement I believe that they could have made is to remove this number pad on the side, and that way just use the extra space to maybe make the keys a little larger and have the speakers on the sides. I mean, whoever needs the number pad can always get an additional number pad and attach it using a USB. But I do understand what ASUS is trying to do here, which is just to have like a all-in-one package so you don't really have to go looking for additional devices. Appreciate that. Now let's talk about that trackpad, and it's probably the least impressive thing about this laptop. Let me explain. Firstly, the trackpad, it's nice and big. It's very smooth and works pretty well. However, I find the travel from the keyboard to the trackpad a bit much because of this extra space over here. Of course, it's not a problem if you'd be using an extra mouse. And next, I feel these buttons are a mistake. I mean, the middle mouse button helps you with a few more interactions, but honestly, 3 buttons is a bit confusing, especially at first, because I did mistook the middle button for the left or the right click at times. And you know what? I can't click on the trackpad. I find that a more natural gesture than to track and then separately click on a button. And coming to the speakers, the right ears, they're bottom and side firing in a way. And here's a quick demo. It's definitely much better than most Windows laptops that you may have used. I'll tell you that. Alright, now let's talk about battery backup and charging. First of all, you get this adapter here. It's a pretty big brick, and this is what you get in India, along with this socket, which is again, it's the bigger 16 ampere socket, and you're not going to be able to find this socket point everywhere. So that could be a bit of an issue, just something to be aware of. It charges pretty quickly though, 0 to 100 in less than 90 minutes. That is really good. Anyway, next, battery life. And look, high performance laptops, depending on what you stress it up with, can be on either side of the spectrum. Now here's my experience with the 90 watt-hour battery that this laptop comes with, and I guess it's satisfactory. Given the power it draws because of both the Intel CPU and the RTX A3000 GPU, you get a decent few hours, though keep in mind that you will get the maximum power draw and hence the best performance when your laptop is plugged in, and that's how you'd like to keep it, especially if you're working on something intense. Okay, so my final thoughts about the Studio Book. Look, can you do without the number pad? Yes, Can you do without the 3 mouse buttons? Sure. Can you do without the Asus dial? Yes. And can you do without the OLED? Definitely. And that, if you think about, is exactly what the MacBook Pro does, right? But I feel this laptop is meant to be a no compromise laptop. Like if you're a creator and you need to get the job done without like looking for anything elsewhere, that's what this laptop is all about. Now do note that this laptop also has components that are upgradable. So if you want to upgrade the RAM from 32 to 64 or to 128, you can do that. If you want to upgrade your storage from 2 terabytes to let's say 4 terabytes, you can do that, but you cannot do that with some other laptop. So I think that is a major advantage, and you can take this laptop and keep upgrading it, and that way it's going to last you a bit longer. Alright, that's pretty much it guys on the Studio Book. If you guys have any questions, make sure you ask them in the comment section. Of course, I'll get back to you. And if you enjoyed watching the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification icon, and don't forget to mark all. I'll see you guys in the next one.